Good evening. We're up to Daf Kufyud Beis, but we're the first line on Kufyud Aleph on the Beis. That's where we're starting from. Okay, it's a introduction to this very interesting sugya. It's called Nat Bar Nat. So if you go ahead, we've been discussing the concept of Tam Kicker. If you go ahead and let's say you cook a piece of nevela with a kosher piece of meat, and you remove the nevela, so you have the tam of the nevela in the kosher meat. So even though you don't have the mamish, you don't have the ikar, you have the tam. That is an initial tam. You're getting directly from the source. Okay. So you have the case is going to be you have fish and you put it on a plate. It's a fleshika plate. It's a fleshika plate. So the plate there's no meat on the plate. You clean the plate well. So there is what makes it fleischiks is you used it for fleischiks. And the hot fleischiks went ahead and got absorbed into the plate. Correct? That's all your kalim are like that. You will go ahead now and you take a hot piece of fish and you put it on that fleishika plate. Can you eat that plate? Can you eat that fish with milchiks? That's the shaila. Can you eat that plate with milchiks? Now, this is called noisin tam, bar noisin tam. Where did the fish get its tam from? From the plate. Where did the plate get its tam from? It got him from a belia of Isser. Because again, the plate is clean. Fellas, if the fish was on the plate and the plate was dirty because it had a film of fleischiks on it, that's not a nice and tam, that's the mamoshes, right? The chilik is the plate is totally clean. The only Isser would be, and there's not Isser. The busser is absorbed in the plate. So now you're taking a hot piece of fish, you're putting it on it. So this hot piece of fish is going to absorb tam from the meat, from the plate. So it's a nat bar nat. The first noisin tam is in the plate, and the second noisin tam is the plate to the fish. Says Shmuel, a nat bar nat, you're able to eat with milchiks. A nat bar nat, the svara being that by the time it gets to the milchiks, it's showing oishgeschwach, that it was a blia of absorption. Now it got absorbed in the fish, and now you're going to go eat it with the milk. It's ready. It's already bottled in a sense. The tam is not so strong anymore. It's not so strong anymore. That's the svara over there. That's called nat bar nat. It's a big sugya. What's the din if you cook? Let's say over here you're going ahead and you're taking something hot and putting it on a plate. What happens if you cook something in a fleshika pot? Is that a nat bar nat or not? So no. That's a big machlokes. That's a machlokes. We're going to see Bez Hashem. We'll have a little time. We'll see Taisvis, and then we'll see the halacha. Okay, we'll see Bez Hashem. If you would cook it,
Shaila?
Yeah. If
it was cooked in a fleshika pot to eat it with milchiks?
Not lechatchila. What if you do?
Okay.
What if you do? Okay, so now, itmar. Dagim sha'alu b'ka'ara. Dagim that you oiled, lashon of alu. That's the diak. Let's say shebishlu b'kara. It said alu b'kara. Rav Ama asa lechol b'kutich. It's also the b'kutich. Kutich is just milchiks. Guys, you notice like gavina is milchiks, kutich is milchik. Okay, we know that this milchiks. Ushmula ma'muta loichla b'kutich. You could eat it. Rav Ama asa noisin tamhu. After all, it's noisin tam in the milchiks. Ushmul Amar Muta Noisin Tam by Noisin Tamhu. It says Rashi, guys, Noisin Tam by Noisin Tamhu. Im Hayumu Shalim in Basar Mamish. If this fish was cooked with meat mamish, you couldn't eat it with what? With melachiks. Because that's not tam, that's mamoshas. Inami moide shmol shasalecha cholav reiseach bekara the noisin tam mishain. To eat boiling hot milk from this kara, he would agree. The noisin tam mishain have a kibas gomer. The initial tam is like the mamoshas itself. Aval karazu he atzmein a basar. The car itself is not meat. El al yidei noisin tam. It got its flavor through tam. Ve'ena kibasar, and it's not kibasar. That's a not barnat. That's a not barnat, guys. Okay, very good. Behod Rav, lav beferish itma. No one ever heard Rav say beferish that what that not barnat is asa. El michlala itma. They inferred it from a klal. The Rav Iklu Lebei Rav Simi Bar Chia Bar Berei. So Rav came to Rav Simi, the son of Chia Bar Berei, Chosh Be'enov, and Rav had pain in his eyes. So of the Lu, they went made for him Shiyafa Bitzah. They made for him some type of ointment Bitzah in a plate. They made some type of ointment in a plate. Cool it, right? After they used the ointment, they put it on Rav. Ramale Bishula Bigava. They went ahead and used that plate that had been used for the ointment. They put something hot in it, and Toyim time the shiyafa. And Rav was able to taste the ointment. So and we have to say that what the plate was cleaned off. They wouldn't serve him on a schmutzadika plate, so they cleaned off the plate. They used it for fleishiks, let's say, and he ate it. Again, there's no isser over here whatsoever. It's no issa. There's no issa. It's just Rav commented, "Omer Yov time kuli high." You see, it gives so much tam. So they infer that Rav would have noisim par by noisim tam. Guys, what's the food that's on this plate? It's a not bar not. The shayaf for the ointment went in the plate. You cleaned away the ointment. You only have the tam of the ointment in the plate, and now the plate is giving into the hot food that was on the plate. And Rav's saying, "Wow." It gives so much time. So they're concluding that Rav must hold noisim bar not by not is enough time to go ahead and asa. V'loihi. But in fact, it's not true. Shiny hasam did nafish meraret fei, because this ointment was very, very bitter. In other words, it's as we're going to see, not all tams are created equal. A daf charif is an onion. There's different tams that are therefore, in other words, they never heard Rav say openly, not by not is asa. They inferred it from this Maisa. Rebbe Laza havi koim kamei de Shmuel. Rebbe Laza was sitting in front of Shmuel. I see, and Rebbe Laza was a Talmud of Rav. I see the kamei dogim sholu b'kaira. They brought him dogim. They brought Shmuel dogim sholu b'kaira. V'ka'achol b'kutich and yedu with milchiks. Yavlei, they gave it to Rebbe Laza. V'layachol refused to eat it. Amalei. So Shmuel commented to Rabbi Laza, if I would have given it to your Rebbe, he would have eaten it. And you don't eat it. So Rabbi Laza came in front of Rav. Again, the last time we heard of Rav, he held not by not as asa. Amalei. So Rabbi Laza said to Rav, did you have charata? Because Shmuel's saying you would eat it. Amalei. So Rav commented to Rabbi Laza, Chasle Lazare the Abba bar Abba. Chas is the zera of Abba bar Abba. That's Avu de Shmuel, right? The list midi sviruli, right? That you should feed me something and I don't hold from it. Rashi said, "Let hadam." I never would eat it. I never ate it. So the shailur is so what did Shmuel say? I gave it to him and he ate it. Well, guys, he's saying that Rashi says lahadam lahoya devar mi'olam. It never happened. So Shmuel says he gave it to Rav. Okay, so the Ritva says pshat, guys. Says the Ritva that Shmuel was megazen. He really didn't give it to Rav, but he was so self-assured, Shmuel, that the halacha was like him. He could tell Rabbi Laza that he would have won Rav over. Because again, guys, Rav never said not by not as asa. It was mechlal from a Maisa. So he's saying that if I would have had this case of dogim sholu b'kaira, right, and Rav was there, I wouldn't be able to convince him. So that's the way the Ritva learns pshat over here. The chas v'shalom that he wouldn't lie. He was so comfortable telling Rabbi Laza to eat it because he could have gone ahead and convinced Rav to eat it. Rav Huna Rav Chia Barashi Haviyasve Chad b'chai gisa de Mavra. The surah, one was on one side of the river in surah of Chad b'chai gisa de Mavra, and the other was on the other side of the river. They were two different sides. And again, in surah, that's the makom of Rav. Lamar isolate dogim shola b'kaira v'achlu b'kutich. He ate in the milchiks. Lamar isolate teinim anav m'teichsu asuda v'yachav le'birich. They brought him figs and grapes in the middle of the suda. They didn't make a bracha. Maram le lechavre once said to his friend, Yasma Ovid Rabach. Yasma, like a yasam. Bli das, right? It says bli das. You didn't. Hachiyam, right? Rab Hachi. Umaram lechavre Yasma Ovid Rab Hachi. Would you go ahead and your Rebbe do this? In other words, the commenting, one was surprised the other one ate dogam b'shol v'kaira, and the other one was surprised that they ate Paris in the middle of the Suda without making bracha. So, Amalei Lechavre, Anokish Mosrirale. Mar Amalei Lechavre, the one who ate the dogam shol v'kaira said, I hold like Shmuel of not Barnat. Umar Amalei Lechavre, and the one who ate the te'enim and the nov in the middle of the Suda, Anok Reb Chia Svirale, I hold like Reb Svira, right, Reb Chia. The ton Reb Chia, pas poiteres kol mine Michael, pas patas ol mine Michael. Notice you make a bracha, you don't have to make a bracha on any other thing that comes in the middle of the Suda. The yayin poiter kol mine mashkin. And therefore, why? I don't have to make a bracha on the Paris. Amachizkiya mishum abaya. Hilchasa, the halacha is, dagim sh'ola b'kaira muta loichlam b'kutich. Dagim that are ola b'kaira, it's muta di b'kutich. S'noin shechatu b'sakin, shechatach b'basa, asa lo'achla b'kutich. So it's s'noin, a radish. This is what you had to go yesterday that said it was muta, shechatu b'sakin, that you cut with a sakin, shechatach b'basa, asa lo'achla b'kutich. Now, guys, this is a very, very, if you think about it, this is a stira. This knife is a fleishka knife, right? You're cutting what? Snoin. You're cutting a radish. Now you're saying that radish, right? You can't eat with milchiks. Isn't it a nat bar nat? The meat into the knife into the radish. The fish into the meat, the meat into the plate into the fish. It seems to be a tarti de sasri. One not by not you're saying is good, and the other one's not good. So we'll understand in a second. Bahani milit snoin. When do we say it's usr? That means by it's snoin, a radish. The agav churche bala, because it's very sharp. So this is like onions or garlic, anything, lavdavka radish, anything that's very sharp. Bala, it absorbs. So we'll say that tam is stronger. Aval kishus, but if it's kishus, gori lebe piska, you go ahead and cut away the place where it, the area of the cut, and therefore will be okay, because the kishus are what? A gourd is not sharp, and therefore it's not going to absorb. Okay, let's see Rashi, guys. This Rashi. Kishus, metukihi, it's sweet, I guess relative to what? To a tsinoin or a radish or an onion. Ve'enoi nivla b'seicha, right? El hashamnunis sof v'oimid al mokam hachatach. So in other words, the knife that has some shamnunis on it, when you cut it, it's not going to get absorbed in the gourd. It's going to remain in the place where you cut. So therefore, hilkach gorel be paske, whittle away at the place of the cut. L'makam chatach, goyre ma'at, b'sakin, v'yachal, af b'kutich, and eat it even b'kutich, because again, whatever meat is there is gone, because you took it away, because it remained on the outside. Hilkach. Dogim shol, masha'en came, guys, masha'en came where it's a tsinoin, or an onion, when you take the shamnunis of the knife and you're cutting, it gets absorbed in the onion itself. It gets absorbed in the radish itself, thus that you can't eat it with milk. You can't eat it with milk. That's the difference between the mitzias of a radish and the mitzias of a gourd. Yes, Nasan.
The difference in the mitzias of a plate, putting food on a plate, and taking a knife that has whatever on it and putting it into that. That's not that.
Why don't you say that the knife is clean also? Okay, so let's see Rashi. In other words, you hear the problem of not bar not. Okay, so Rashi is going to deal with Hilkach. Look at Rashi. Hilkach, 3 lines down. Dogim shola b'kaira muta loichlem b'kutechiri u'milchiks kida amar ve'ein noisin tam habo min amamish. It's not noisin tam that comes from mamish. Ela min noisin tam habo min noisin tam. The fish has the tam by something itself that was noisin tam, right? That the meat was on it. The stam ka'ara mekanchim ma'isa mishum min ha'korish oleha. Stam a plate you wipe away from the fat, from the shamnunis, the fleishiks that's on it, and therefore it's only a noising tam. It's not mamish. mishamius, because it's disgusting to go ahead and eat a schmutzidige plate. Aval sakin pa'amim shashamnunis koreshalav in a nikar. The knife, it could be, this is what Nassim was trying to say, the knife, the shamnunis on the knife is there and it's not recognizable. So guys, it's not by not. Here you have mamish avissa, you have mashas avissa. And when you cut this sharp vegetable, having noisin tam habom and amamish. It's now a noisin tam bom and amamish. So that's the chilik ishmak, guys, between dogim shola b'kaira, that's a nat bar nat, versus the chayte b'tznoin, which is not a nat bar nat, which is mamish because the knife will choshit, perhaps the knife has in it what? It has in it shamnunis. V'oid, a separate reason, the mishum churfei bola, because its tznoin is very sharp, bola tfemi dogim haroischim. They absorb more than dogim that are what? That are hot. V'agav duchid the sakina, polit sakinu, bolit tznoin. In other words, there's a second svara. Even if the knife is clean, there's a second svara to say that tam is going to be there. It's because the charifis of the tzinoin and the pressure you put on the knife is enough to go ahead and draw out the tam, so it's not weak anymore. If the svara of not bar not, it's a shvacha tam, it's showing this kind of shvach anymore because what the dukkha the sakina. And put together the charifis, the sharpness of the vegetable, in this case the tznoin, is going to schlep it out. So two possibilities. One, the knife may not be totally clear, or even if the knife is clear, you still have a problem of the sakina, masha'en came with that was ola b'kaira. Okay, there's a big toisus here. If we have time, we'll go back to it. Basically, the shaila is, what about cooking? This is, you put a piece of hot on it. What about cooking it? If you cook in a pot, and you end up eating it, if you ate it, if it's together, could you eat it? So that's the lashon shulchan aruch. That seems to be a machloikis rishonim. And
it's a clean pot, correct?
Again, a clean pot, you only have tam, right? But again, the bishul process could be more powerful to take out that tam and keep it alive than just like the hot putting it on a cold plate. Okay. Says the Gemara Vaita. Kilchi delifta, you have a stalk of turnips, shari, if you cut it with a knife, a fleshik knife, you can eat it with kutich. The silka, but if it's beets that you cut with a knife, asiri, it will be asa to eat with, if you cut it with a fleshik knife, it will be asa to eat with kutich. In other words, Lakora's beets have the same capacity as sinoim. The pasach bu delifta, and if you go ahead and you interchange with the lifta. In other words, you do a turn of a beat, you keep on using it, then shapidami. Then you're not worried about the sharpness of the beat, because already you would have been beaten out by the fact that you put a turnip in between. Okay? So you're interchanging it. Boy minir of dimi mir of nachman. Mala nuche kada de milcha gabe kada de kimcha. Can you put a kad of kimcha next to a kad of what? Of salt. You have salt, and you have salt. Yeah, guys, you have your table. You have your little, the salt shaker. Sometimes you have the little. One second. You have something that looks like this, right? You have the salt over here. Could you have over here salt on one side and kimcha, something milachix on the other side? And the answer is no. The answer is no. What's that noise? Okay, somebody is. Okay. Now, so you have a kat of mincha next to kat of milcha next to kat of kimcha, of something milachix. That would be asa. Masha'en kain, if you have it next to vinegar, that would be muta. Maluchi kada milcha gabi kada the kimcha. Amalei, Reb Nachman told him to Reb Dimi asa. The chalamai, what about they used to use vinegar as a dip? Amalei, shari, that's permitted. Umayshna. So Rav Nachman said, facetiously, the milcha, measure off of me a kur of melech, and I'll tell you the answer. Again, a little Aramaic humor. My timer, Hai Isa Asira Be'ena. This by the melach, the Isra is Be'en. In this case, the Isra is what? Is the kimcha. The high, but the chalu lessa, it's not there. Rashi can say it's bottom. Look at Rashi. Rashi says, "Hi kutach the neifel b'melach nira v'nikar." You can recognize it. Mifnei shu av v'lei batel aval kutach a neifel b'chaimitz less ben. It's not around. V'taim and nami layavi kutach b'chaimitz. It doesn't give tam. So either bitl or it's tam. Hahu bar goisla. There was this pigeon, this type of a bird. The nafel akada the kimcha. It fell into a vat of milchiks. Shayir of Huna Breder of Ravel Mipashrunya. He permitted it to eat it. So Amarava. Now what's the shaila, guys? It's cold. It's cold, right? It's cold. So what's the shaila? By now we know in order to have shaila milchas and fleishes, you need some type of heat transfer. What about if it's something salty? What about kimcha? So the kimcha is salty, right? So Mameli shaila is the salt of the kimcha enough to go ahead and make and draw out the time of the bird. So Rav Chinna Brei the Rava Mipashruni permitted. Amar Rava man chacham lemishrei ki hay gavna. Ilav Rav Chinna Brei the Rava Mipashrunya. Ksava kiyam mashmo maliach har kureseach. When do we say malichas har kureseach? Hani mili. When is that? That's heicha the eina nechol machmas milchay. That's why it's so salty you can't eat it because of that. Guys, when they would kasha meat, they cover the whole thing with salt, a big thick layer of salt. You can't eat that. That's when Shmuel says Melech HaKoreseach. It's good, it's salty, but not to the extent to go ahead and if you have high blood pressure, you're going to be in trouble, right? It's something that you could eat. It's okay. V'hani milichai. When is that? If it's a raw bird, aval tzli. If it's a roasted bird, boy klipa. Then you need to go ahead and do klipa. This is the machloikas rishonim over here, right? Exactly what the Metzias is the case. Does it have to be hot and sli or just sli? Anyway, so the klipa means you have to peel away a little bit of the skin. The ispe pili, and if there are cracks in the bird, the kuli asa. Then we're going to say it's going to be asa. So if you have a roasted bird that has cracks in it and it falls in kimcha, then it's going to go ahead and absorb all the way. V'matve v'tavlin, and let's say there's no cracks, right? But it was spiced up greatly. So we saw spice yesterday by the liver is able to go ahead and soften it up. So over here also, if mat b'tavlin kuli asa, the whole thing will be asa. Rav Nachman Shmuel. Okay, so now we know that in order to eat meat, it's not enough to do shchita. You have to and do nikar. You have to get rid of the blood also. How do we get rid of the blood? By doing malicha. There's another way to get rid of the blood. That's tzli. That's tzli by broiling it. Now, if you broil it and dam remains inside, you don't have a problem. That's called dam shelo pirsha. Dam is only asa when it's pirish, when it separates. So over here, you have a piece of meat that you went ahead and you would soleya, and now you cut it on a piece of bread, and something red that drips out of it. Does that have a loch of dam or not? That's the question. So Rav Nachman Shmuel, Kika shechatach aloha basa, asa la'achla, it's asa to eat. However, there are a few addendums. When we say it's asa to eat, what do we mean it's asa to eat? V'animili the asmik, that it's very red, meaning the Rabbeinu Geshem says like it has a bruise. V'hanimili the avre, that you could see it on both sides of the bread. You know, it's viscous. V'hanimili the asmeche, that it was thick and not subtle. Avol klishasa, but then if it's thin, meaning it's not thick, less lamba, then we're not worried about it. Shmuel shadi le'lekalbe. Shmuel would take this bread and throw it to his dogs. Rav Huna, now lekalbe means he has a dog, to his dog. So if it depends on guesses over here. Figure right that Shmuel had a dog. Anyway, Rav Huna Yav le'leshame, he gave it to his shamish. The Gemara asks, Manav Shach, Ishari l'kulyama shari, and Yas l'kulyama asa. L'chari shamish was a Jewish guy. What are you giving him this blood to eat? So it was shiny Rav Huna, danina daite. When Rav Huna gave it, had nothing to do with kashrus. It had to do, he was an istinus. He was an istinus, so he couldn't eat it. There's no kashrus wise, there's no problem. He gave it to his servant. He gave it to his servant. Rava, this is the halacha. Here's the halacha right now. Rava achale, Rava ate it. He called it the yayin of the basa. You have a steak, guys. You have a good. Let's say you're not Jewish, meaning you don't eat burnt steak. You know, Jews they don't like they eat burnt everything burnt. They can't look at red. Right? So you have steak and you cut it and you see the juice drips out. It's ganz red. That's chamer de bisra, guys. It's not blood. He did the salted process. He did everything you could do. That's chamer de bisra. Amrav Nachman Mishmol. Ein meinichin kli takas basar. Now, we saw yesterday the beidugi, right? We saw that they would collect the fat, the schmaltz. So you have schmaltz there, but you got a problem. You have blood there also. You're being tselaya. You're going ahead and broiling, and you want to make sure that you don't eat dam. So at which point in time can you put the kli underneath that you don't have to worry about the liquid coming out that it's dam? That's the shaila, yeah? Then now you're putting the kli underneath, and now you're not going to worry about what is coming out. At which point in time? How do you know when all the red is gone? So when you see the smoke, when you see smoke come up, when you see smoke come up, look at Rashi. Rashi gives two pshatim, 5 lines up from the bottom. Shaltim rasai, shabasa mala ashan. The bala, in other words, when you see smoke coming off the basa, you know there's no more blood in it. Lishnachrina, Shia Gacholim, the charcoals, Mailim Oshan, when they begin to smoke. Shekol Zman Shadam Shoisis Alehem, as long as the blood is going on the coals, Eina Ela Kovim, they begin to get dim because the blood is putting it out. V'holchim, Al Shumin Noitiv Mina Olim Oshan, right? When the shumin, if you barbecue, once you get a little fat on the coals, they flare up. They flare up. So therefore, it's very geshmak pshat. So that's how you know the blood is gone.
This is what you brought up for that time in the Mishnah Berurah about barbecuing on Yontif, because
when you barbecue on Yontif, of course, it's in Mechaber, right? It's in Gemara and Beitza, you could. It's in the first Gemara and Beitza that you're able to, right? That you're able to do it. Okay. Maskler Ravashi, Vidil Mutata Mata Iloila Mata. Maybe the one that's near the coals, the bottom part of the meat, is gone, but maybe the top not. Maybe the top, there's still blood in the top. Elam Ravashi, Leslie Takanta, there's no takana to put the beidugi there. Ella Mishad Beitarti Galale Milcha. You know what you got to do? You go ahead, you put in 2 pieces of salt, umashvia, and then you go ahead and you pour it off gently. So there seems to be an eitzah to go ahead, and if you again they didn't do away with waste, like they didn't waste things like we did. They wanted fat. So now you have this beidugi was capturing the fat of the meat, but you got a problem. I can't have fat and dam mixed together. I can't have fat and dam mixed together. So I want to get rid of the dam. So he says he's giving an eitzah. You will see at the time when the smoke comes up, because that's not a good eitzah. Why? Because or maybe it only takes care of the bottom part, not the top part. So we're saying the only eitzah is take 2 pieces of salt, put it in the beidugi, and then you slowly pour it off, and that you'll get the shemen, and the blood will be like magnetized to the 2 pieces of salt. Okay, that's the eitzah. So the bottom is over here. Shrei goli the milcha, and the next page I turned the page back. Umishvia umishpia. That means the salted poured salt. Shadam nigra etzel hamelach b'shulim. Because the b'shalayim, the dam will be drawn to the pieces of salt that are on the bottom of this beidugi. Va'afilu man v'yamar efshel esayich layasa. So guys, alum the shashayla. Guys, if it's mixed the dam with the shemen and efshel esayich layasa, what kind of eitz is that? We just did the sugya, chatichin asan levela, right? The whole thing becomes asa. So once you have the fat mixed with the blood, why don't we say that what? It's efshel esayich, it's asa. So why is it going to help you putting the salt there? Yesh lahatakan, you know why? We don't say right away it becomes asa. We don't say that. You know why? No, you'd have to say right away it becomes asa. The kimin shadam nifresh mimenu legamri, since blood has the capacity to separate from completely, a nisha baitam, nothing's left. Fafila mashahu. The kachoya became bedava hamota. Okay, so in other words, we dam. Efshel Soichta is asa because it's not possible to get out all the time. But by dam and shumin it is. And therefore we don't say Efshel, even though Efshel Soichta is asa, by dam and shumin would be mutter. Because these two galolim of melach are able to go ahead and draw it. The Hasam Aina Issa Yoitzel Gamri. It doesn't go out completely. Elishim is battle. It becomes battle. Says the Taisus. Akshav Ain Lahatir Al Yidei Trey Golei de Milcha. Now Bisman Azeh, we're not going to matter using two Golei de Milcha. If he Masha Pirish Behilchas Gedoilis, the Dafka Noka Trey Golei. It's Dafka two. Aval Harbe Melach, if you're going to put in too much, Poisik Koyach Adam. In other words, guys, it has to be an exact amount. If it's an exact amount, then like a magnet, the dam is going to go to these two pieces of salt. But if you put too much salt in, the dam now becomes a little more liquidy. It gets mixed in with the shumin, and you have tsaris. That was the thing I wanted to bring in. That it's dafka this trey glali dam, and it's okay. Amid Beis. Amalei Rav Acha Berei Rav Ika the Ravashi. Umi Amar Shmuel Hachi. Does Rav Shmuel really say that does Shmuel really say that you can go ahead and you'll know it's red when all the red is out? Once you meet right? When he said all the red is gone, then you could eat it. The question is, how do you know when all the red is gone, right? Does he really say that? From Shmuel, Kika basa. Asal achla, a kika that you went ahead and cooked and you cut, it's asal achla. So you see there's still blood that remains in the piece of meat. In other words, Shmuel's saying if you broil it, as long as it's not red anymore, you could eat it. But 1 second, he just said a piece of meat you cut, the blood stuff comes out as blood. Shiny Hossam, the agav ducha de sakina palit. Over there it's different. Why? Because ducha de sakina, once you cut the meat, right, that's going to go ahead and cause it to separate. Masha'en came where it's still in the meat, contained in the meat, it's not a problem. Rav Nachman says of Nachman, Dogim v'oifos shemolchem ze'em zeh. Dogim and oifos, you have fish and birds that you go ahead and you molech ze'em zeh. Asurim, it's asa. Now, what's asa? What's asa? Stam Rashi learns the fish. Other Rishonim say both. So it's asa. Now, what's asa? You can have the tam of the birds in the fish. If you're speaking about what? A kli. Rashi says lav dafka oifis. It can even be regular basa. Okay, but it's harder, so oifis. So what's the shiloh over here, guys? You have kosher fish, you have kosher birds, you have kosher meat. What's the problem? It's the dam. Guys, it's a shiloh in dam. The dam is the problem, guys. That's the issue here. So now you have so now you have coming out of now we know fish blood is not a problem. Fish blood is not a problem. We saw that dogim chagavim is not a problem. It's the problem of the basar or the oif. So now you salted them together. So the fish is asa because of the blood that it absorbs from the birds. Hechidami. If you're speaking about a kli that doesn't have holes in it, and therefore the blood is contained, and therefore it's going to go into the fish. Afilu oifis v'oifis nam yasir. What do you care about the fish? Even anything is going to be usher in that case, because you're going to get blood coming out of one and getting absorbed in the other. If you have two pieces of meat or two pieces of in a pot, and you have salt, and the salt is not going to drain. It's going to go ahead and be self-contained in the pot, then everything's asa. So it can't be speaking about a kli that doesn't have a hole in it. And if it's a kli that does have a hole in it, I feel shari. There should be mutter. Why? Because the blood's going to drain. So you salt the fish, and fish skin is much thinner than skin of a bird. So what happens? Who gets rid of its blood earlier? The fish. Once again, you say as long as it's expunging blood, it's not going to absorb. So what's happening is they're both giving out blood. but the fish will finish giving it out before the bird. And thus, and then at that point in time, it'll absorb the blood of the bird, and therefore it's asa. It's a clean menukiv. Doesn't make a difference. The blood's coming out, and it's not going to drain completely until it gets absorbed in the fish. So that's what it says. It has a hole in it. For dagim mishum the rafi kamayu, the rafi it's kamayu. It's what its skin is soft, and kodmu palte. It goes early and it's polat what its blood. For oifos kamit, it's tighter, and basa denachi dagim palite oifos. Once the dagim stop, palite oifos, the oifos give out their blood. And then what the fish will go ahead and absorb. Fish will absorb that. Okay. We'll stop over here.